some found his character unnecessary. Overall rating, 4.55, a fantastic martial arts superhero film with great action, humor, and heart. Interesting facts. 1. Simu Liu manifested the role. Years before being cast, Simu Liu tweeted Marvel asking for a Shang-Chi movie. 2. Tony Leung's first Hollywood role. The legendary Hong Kong actor had never acted in a Hollywood film before. 3. Real kung fu inspiration. The film's fight scenes were influenced by classic martial arts films, including Jackie Chan's choreography. 4. Michelle Yeoh's MNQ return. She played a different character in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 before joining Shang-Chi. 5. Cameos and connections. The film features Wong, Doctor Strange, and Abomination, the Incredible Hulk, teasing future MCU stories. Would you like more details on any part? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, 2021, in-depth review and facts directed by Destin Daniel Cretton starring Simu Liu, Tony Leung, Awkwafina, Michelle Yeoh, Ming Zhang, Fa Le Chan, Ben Kingsley. Plot summary: the story follows Shang-Chi, Simu Liu, who has been living a quiet life in San Francisco, working as a valet with his best friend Katie, Awkwafina. However, his past catches up to him when members of the Ten Rings organization attack him and steal his mother's pendant. This forces Shang-Chi to confront his father, Wenwu, Tony Leung, a powerful warrior who has lived for centuries using the mystical Ten Rings. Wenwu believes that his late wife is calling to him from a mythical village, Ta Lo, and plans to release an ancient evil entity, the Dweller in Darkness, believing it to be her spirit. Shang-Chi, along with his estranged sister Xiaoling, Meng Zhang, and Katie, embarks on a journey to stop their father from making a grave mistake. The film climaxes in Ta Lo, where Shang-Chi faces his father in an emotional battle. Wenwu eventually realizes his mistake, but sacrifices himself to save his son. Shang-Chi then wields the Ten Rings to defeat the Dweller in Darkness, solidifying his place as a new hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Review: a unique Marvel film with heart and action. 1. Action and martial arts. A breath of fresh air. One of the standout aspects of Shang-Chi is its action choreography. Unlike the usual CGI-heavy fights in MCU films, this movie incorporates real martial arts, inspired by legendary Hong Kong action films. The fight sequences were choreographed by Brad Allen, a member of Jackie Chan's stunt team. Best fight scenes: the bus fight, a thrilling sequence where Shang-Chi takes down multiple attackers in a confined space, showcasing his agility and skill. The building scaffold fight, a fast-paced fight on bamboo scaffolding reminiscent of classic martial arts films. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu, an emotional father-son duel with spectacular visuals, blending martial arts with the mystical power of the Ten Rings. 2. Tony Leung's Wenwu, one of Marvel's best villains. Unlike many one-dimensional MCU villains, Wenwu is a deeply complex character. Tony Leung's performance adds depth, portraying a grieving husband, a loving but strict father, and a ruthless warlord. His motivation is rooted in love and loss, rather than mere conquest, making him one of the most compelling antagonists in the franchise. 3. Humor and friendship. The Awkwafina effect as Katie. Awkwafina provides comic relief, balancing the film's emotional depth. Unlike typical Marvel sidekicks, she's not just there for jokes. Her character grows throughout the film, even playing a key role in the final battle. 4. Visuals and mythology. A stunning cinematic experience, the film draws heavily from Chinese mythology, especially in the depiction of Ta Lo, a hidden mystical village with mythical creatures like the Great Protector Dragon. The final battle between Shang-Chi and the Dweller in Darkness is visually stunning, though some critics felt the CGI-heavy climax strayed from the film's grounded martial arts tone. Representation and cultural impact. As Marvel's first Asian-led superhero film, Shang-Chi was a landmark moment for representation in Hollywood. It embraced Chinese culture without resorting to stereotypes, featuring an almost entirely Asian cast and a mix of English and Mandarin dialogue. Final verdict rating, 4.55, Pros incredible action, emotional storytelling, Tony Leung's performance, strong Asian representation. Cons, slightly formulaic third act, some humor might not land for everyone. Overall, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of the best MCU origin films, combining heart, humor, and martial arts in a way that sets it apart from other superhero movies. Interesting facts you might not know. 1. Simu Liu manifested his role on Twitter years before being cast. Simu Liu tweeted at Marvel in 2018, saying, "Hey Marvel, great job with Black Panther. Now, how about an Asian superhero?" Fast forward to 2019, and he was officially announced as Shang-Chi 2. Tony Leung's first Hollywood movie, despite being a legendary actor in Hong Kong cinema. In the Mood for Love, Infernal Affairs, Tony Leung had never worked in Hollywood before. His involvement in the MCU was a big deal for Asian cinema fans. 3. The movie changed the original comics' problematic elements in the original Marvel comics. Shang-Chi's father was Fu Manchu, a racist caricature. The film wisely replaced him with Wenwu, making the character much more complex and respectable. Jackie Chan's influence. The film's fight scenes were heavily inspired by Jackie Chan's stunt work. Some action sequences, like the bus fight, pay homage to his classic films like Police Story. 5. Michelle Yeoh's second MCU role. Michelle Yeoh, who plays Ying Nan, Shang-Chi's aunt, also appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2 as Aletta Augard, making her one of the few actors to play two different MCU characters. 6. Abominations. Surprise cameo. The underground Fight Club scene features a shocking cameo. Abomination from The Incredible Hulk, 2008, now redesigned and fighting Wong from Doctor Strange. This was a major hint at upcoming MCU connections. 7. The Ten Rings will return. The post-credits scene reveals that Shang-Chi's 10 rings are sending a mysterious signal across the universe. This could tie into future Marvel projects, possibly connecting to Kang the Conqueror, Galactus, or another cosmic force. Conclusion. Why you should watch Shang-Chi if you love action-packed superhero films with deep emotional themes and stunning visuals. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a must-watch. It successfully introduces a new hero while respecting martial arts cinema and Chinese culture, making it one of the most unique films in the MCU. Would you like more details on any specific aspect? Deeper dive into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was more than just another superhero origin story. It was a game-changer for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, in terms of representation, storytelling, and action. Let's take an even closer look at its impact, deeper themes, and potential future in the MCU. 1. The deeper themes of Shang-Chi, family, and trauma. At its core, Shang-Chi is about family and how the past shapes our future. Unlike other Marvel heroes who inherit a legacy, like Iron Man or Black Panther, Shang-Chi struggles to break free from his father's control and define his own destiny. Wenwu vs. Shang-Chi. The film presents a classic generational conflict. Wenwu, who has lived for over 10 years, believes in power and tradition, while Shang-Chi wants to live life on his own terms. Xialing's struggles. Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, is also an important character, ignored by her father because she was a girl. She secretly trained herself and later built her own underground empire. Her arc highlights themes of gender inequality and self-determination. B. Identity and self-acceptance. Shang-Chi spends years running from his past, trying to live a normal life in America. But throughout the movie, he learns that he cannot escape who he is. He must embrace both his mother's kindness and his father's strength. This mirrors real-world struggles faced by children of immigrants, balancing two cultures while finding their own identity. See power and responsibility, a new type of hero. Unlike previous MCU heroes, Shang-Chi doesn't just inherit his powers, he earns them. He starts as a highly skilled martial artist, but must grow emotionally before he can fully wield the 10 rings. 2. Behind the scenes. How Shang-Chi was made. The fight choreography and stunt work. Shang-Chi was praised for having some of the best fight scenes in the MCU. The film was heavily influenced by classic martial arts films, and Marvel brought in top-tier talent to handle the action. Choreographers. The action was directed by Brad Allen, a member of Jackie Chan's stunt team. Sadly, this was his last project before his passing. Styles used. The movie blends different martial art styles, Wing Chun and Tai Chi, used by Shang-Chi's mother, showing fluidity and grace, Hung Da and Wushu, used by Shang-Chi, showing power and precision, Northern Shaolin and Bajikwan, used by Wenwu, showcasing aggression. The use of practical effects. While Marvel is known for CGI, many of Shang-Chi's action scenes were done with practical stunts. The bus fight scene, for example, was filmed on a moving set to make the action feel more real. 3. The importance of representation. Breaking barriers for Asian superheroes. Before Shang-Chi, Asian representation in Hollywood superhero movies was rare. This film was a milestone, proving that an Asian-led superhero movie could be both critically and commercially successful. Simu Liu, who plays Shang-Chi, spoke about how important this role was for him, saying that Asian kids can now see themselves as superheroes. The film also avoids stereotypes from old Hollywood kung fu movies, giving depth to its Asian characters. How it performed in China. Despite being a celebration of Chinese culture, Shang-Chi was not released in mainland China due to past controversies involving Simu Liu and some historical elements that the Chinese government found sensitive. However, it was still a major success globally. 4. The future of Shang-Chi in the MCU. What the post-credit scene means. The mid-credit scene shows Wong, Bruce Banner, and Captain Marvel analyzing the 10 rings. They reveal that the rings are sending a mysterious beacon into space, but to whom? Possibilities. Galactus. The rings could be calling to a cosmic being, Kang the Conqueror. The rings might be linked to Kang's multiversal technology. The Celestials. Since Eternals introduced celestial beings, the rings might connect to them. The Xialing takes over the 10 rings in the post-credit scene. We see that Xialing has taken over her father's empire. However, she has made it more modern and inclusive, allowing female warriors. This sets up the 10 rings as a major force in the MCU. They could become either a villainous organization or a morally gray group, similar to the way the Wakandan Dora Milaje operate. See, will there be a Shang-Chi 2? Yes. Marvel has officially announced a sequel. While details are scarce, here are some possible directions. Shang-Chi versus Kang the Conqueror. Since Kang is the next big villain, the 10 rings might play a role in fighting him. Exploring more of Ta Lo, we could learn more about the mystical realm and its connection to the MMU's cosmic side. Xialing's new empire. Shang-Chi might have to confront his sister if her version of the 10 rings becomes dangerous. Final thoughts. Why Shang-Chi stands out in the MCU among Marvel's Phase 4 films. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of the most well-received. It balanced grounded action with mythology, emotional storytelling, and cultural significance. Unlike other origin stories, Shang-Chi's journey feels personal, making him a relatable hero. The film successfully introduces new mythology to the MCU, expanding its world-building. Tony Leung's Wenwu remains one of the best Marvel villains, elevating the movie beyond just superhero action. Final rating, 4.5. Action. Some of the best fight scenes in MCU history. Story, great, emotional depth. But some predictable moments. Visuals, stunning mix of practical and CGI effects. Villain. Wenwu is one of Marvel's most complex villains. Impact. a landmark movie for representation in Hollywood. Would you like me to expand on any particular aspect, such as a detailed breakdown of a fight scene or theories about the sequel? Positive reception of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings received overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics, audiences, and industry professionals. It was praised for its action, storytelling, representation, and cultural significance. Let's take a deep dive into why this movie was such a big success. 1. Critical acclaim and reviews. Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic scores. Rotten Tomatoes, 91%. Certified, fresh from critics, with a 98% audience score. Metacritic, 71/100 from critics, but an impressive 8/110 from audiences. Critics praised the film's balance of martial arts, mythology, and emotional storytelling. B. What critics loved about the movie. The Hollywood Reporter, a stunning blend of classic martial arts cinema and Marvel's signature spectacle, elevated by Tony Leung's masterful performance. Shang-Chi brings a breath of fresh air to the MCU with its groundbreaking fight choreography and heartfelt story. Empire magazine, a dazzling, action-packed adventure that introduces a new kind of hero to the Marvel Universe. See audience love and word of mouth. The film resonated deeply with audiences worldwide, especially those who had long-awaited Asian representation in mainstream superhero films. Many praised Simu Liu's charisma and relatability, the emotional father-son dynamic with Tony Leung's Wenwu, the stunning fight scenes which were compared to classic kung fu movies, the balance of humor and heart, making it a well-rounded blockbuster. 2. Box office success and financial performance. A record-breaking opening weekend, despite being released during the pandemic. Shang-Chi shattered expectations at the box office. Domestic, U.S., opening, $75. Domestic, U.S., opening, $75. $4 million, the biggest Labor Day opening ever. Global box office, over $432 million worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing films of 2021. Why it was a box office hit. Strong word of mouth. Audiences loved it, leading to repeat viewings. First Asian-led MCU movie, a historic moment that drew a massive audience. Unique action sequences. Unlike previous Marvel films, Shang-Chi had real martial arts influence, attracting both MCU fans and martial arts cinema enthusiasts. Post-pandemic demand. Audiences were eager for a high-quality theatrical experience. 3. Why fans loved Shang-Chi. The best action in the MCU. Many fans believe Shang-Chi has the best hand-to-hand combat in Marvel history. The choreography was inspired by legendary Hong Kong action films, giving it a unique feel compared to other superhero movies. Top fight scenes loved by fans. 1. Bus fight scene. A thrilling Jackie Chan-style brawl in a moving bus. 2. Building scaffold fight, a gravity-defying rooftop battle with a mix of wire fu and brutal strikes. 3. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu. A deeply emotional and visually spectacular father-son duel. B. Tony Leung's performance. A legendary villain. Fans and critics alike hailed Tony Leung's performance as one of the best villains in MCU history. Unlike typical Marvel villains, Wenwu was complex, a villain who wasn't purely evil but driven by love and grief. Charismatic, every scene he was in was electrifying. Tragic, his death was one of the most emotional moments in the movie. See a new type of Marvel hero. Shang-Chi's relatability. Unlike Iron Man, who is a billionaire, or Thor, a god, Shang-Chi is a regular guy with an extraordinary past. Fans love that. He was raised as an assassin but chose his own path. He had real struggles with family, identity, and self-worth. He didn't become powerful overnight. He earned his abilities. D. The cultural representation meant a lot to people from many Asian audiences. Shang-Chi was more than just a superhero film. It was a moment of pride. Fans praised the movie for respecting Chinese culture and mythology without stereotypes, having an all-Asian main cast in A. Mixing English and Mandarin dialogue naturally, reflecting real Asian American experiences. One fan on Twitter wrote, "For the first time I saw a Marvel hero who looked like me, spoke my language, and had a story rooted in my culture. This means everything." The humor and friendship between Shang-Chi and Katie. Unlike some Marvel movies where humor feels forced, Shang-Chi had genuinely funny moments, especially with Awkwafina's Katie. Fans loved their natural chemistry and the fact that their friendship wasn't forced into a romantic subplot. 4. Industry recognition and awards. Awards and nominations. Academy Awards. Nominated for Best Visual Effects. Critics' Choice Awards. 1 Best Action Movie. Screen Actors Guild SAG Awards. Nominated for Best Stunt Ensemble. People's Choice Awards. 1 Favorite Action Movie and Favorite Action Movie Star. Simu Liu. B. Hollywood's response. How Marvel changed after Shang-Chi. The success of Shang-Chi proved that Asian-led movies can be global hits, leading to more diverse casting in Hollywood, increased investment in Asian directors and writers, more representation in upcoming Marvel projects, e.g., the inclusion of Asian superheroes in Eternals and Doctor Strange 2. 5. How Shang-Chi's success will shape the MCU's future. Shang-Chi is now a key MCU hero after the success of his debut. Marvel has confirmed that Shang-Chi will return in future Avengers films. The Ten Rings organization will play a major role in upcoming stories. Shang-Chi's connection to the cosmic side of the MCU will be explored. B. Theories about Shang-Chi 2 with a sequel confirmed. Fans are already speculating. Who is the Ten Rings signal calling? Possibly Galactus, Kang, or even the Celestials. Will Xialing be a villain or ally? Her takeover of the Ten Rings sets up conflict. More mythological creatures. Fans want to see more of Ta Lo's magical world. Conclusion. Why Shang-Chi was a massive success overall. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was a groundbreaking Marvel film that won audiences over with stunning action sequences that rival classic kung fu films. A deeply emotional story about family, identity, and destiny. A legendary performance by Tony Leung as Wenwu. Cultural significance as Marvel's first Asian-led superhero film. A fresh and exciting new hero in the MCU, played by the charismatic Simu Liu. With its strong audience love, record-breaking box office, and lasting impact on Hollywood, Shang-Chi is not just a great Marvel movie, it's one of the best superhero movies of the modern era. Would you like to explore any specific fan theories or behind-the-scenes details further? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. A deeper look at its success and cultural impact. Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings isn't just another superhero movie. It's a cultural milestone that changed the landscape of Hollywood and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. With its breathtaking action sequences, emotional depth, and groundbreaking representation, Shang-Chi has left an unforgettable mark. This article explores the long-term impact of the movie, how it reshaped Hollywood, and what's next for Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings in the MCU. 1. How Shang-Chi redefined the superhero genre. Superhero movies have followed certain formulas for years, but Shang-Chi managed to break the mold in several ways. A hero with a different origin story. Unlike most MCU heroes who gain their powers through science, Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man, or inheritance, Thor, Black Panther, Shang-Chi's story is deeply personal. His skills were earned through brutal training rather than gifted through accident or birthright. He chose his own destiny rather than being forced into heroism. His struggle wasn't just against a villain, but against his own past and identity. This made Shang-Chi feel more relatable than many other Marvel heroes. B. Emotional depth. A villain unlike any other Marvel has had great villains: Thanos, Loki, Killmonger, but Wenwu, Tony Leung, stands out because of his humanity. He's not just an evil conqueror, he's a grieving husband and a strict father. He genuinely believes he's doing the right thing by trying to bring back his lost wife. His love for Shang-Chi is real, even though his methods are harsh. This depth made Wenwu one of the most tragic and powerful Marvel villains ever. See groundbreaking fight choreography. One of the film's most praised aspects was its martial arts sequences, which were unlike anything seen in the MCU before. Influences from Hong Kong cinema, the movie was inspired by Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and classic martial arts films. Practical stunt work. Unlike typical GI-heavy fights, Shang-Chi used real fight choreography mixed with wire work, creating a more grounded and visceral experience. Different martial arts styles. Shang-Chi's mother, Jiang Li, uses Tai Chi, which is soft and flowing. Shang-Chi's father, Wenwu, uses Hung Ga and Bajikun, which are more aggressive and powerful. Shang-Chi himself learns to blend these styles, showing his growth. These elements made the fights more dynamic and meaningful compared to other Marvel movies. 2. The cultural impact of Shang-Chi, a landmark moment for Asian representation in Hollywood. Before Shang-Chi, there were very few mainstream Hollywood movies with an Asian superhero lead. The film's success proved that Asian-led films can be global blockbusters. Asian culture can be celebrated without stereotypes. There's a demand for authentic representation in Hollywood. For many viewers, seeing a hero who spoke their language, embraced their culture, and fought for his identity was deeply personal. The film's impact on the Asian American community. Many Asian American fans related to Shang-Chi's story of struggling with identity and balancing two cultures. The movie's use of both English and Mandarin felt authentic to immigrant families. Shang-Chi's journey, trying to move past his family's expectations while honoring his heritage, resonated with many second-generation Asian Americans. This made Shang-Chi one of the most meaningful Marvel films ever for cultural representation. 3. Shang-Chi's influence on future Marvel and Hollywood movies. Changing the future of the MCU. After Shang-Chi's success, Marvel has shifted toward more diverse storytelling. More Asian characters are being introduced. Eternals, Doctor Strange 2, Echo. Shang-Chi's story will have major MCU connections, especially with the Ten Rings' mysterious origin. A confirmed sequel will continue his journey as a key MCU hero. A bigger role for Asian filmmakers in Hollywood. The film's director, Destin Daniel Cretton, has now been hired to direct Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, proving that Asian directors can lead major Hollywood franchises. 4. Fan theories and what's next for Shang-Chi. What was the Ten Rings signal calling? The post-credits scene revealed that Shang-Chi's 10 rings are sending a mysterious signal across the universe. Possible theories include: 1. Kang the Conqueror. The rings might be connected to time-traveling technology from Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. 2. Galactus. The rings could be linked to a cosmic entity. 3. The Celestials. With Eternals introducing godlike beings, the rings may be a forgotten artifact from them. Will Xialing be a hero or villain? Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, took over the Ten Rings organization. At the end of the movie, some fans believe she could become a villain, using the Ten Rings for power. A confirmed sequel will continue his journey as a key MCU hero. A bigger role for Asian filmmakers in Hollywood. The film's director, Destin Daniel Cretton, has now been hired to direct Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, proving that Asian directors can lead major Hollywood franchises. 4. Fan theories and what's next for Shang-Chi. What was the Ten Rings signal calling? The post-credits scene revealed that Shang-Chi's 10 rings are sending a mysterious signal across the universe. Possible theories include: 1. Kang the Conqueror. The rings might be connected to time-traveling technology from Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania. 2. Galactus. The rings could be linked to a cosmic entity. 3. The Celestials. With Eternals introducing godlike beings, the rings may be a forgotten artifact from them. Will Xialing be a hero or villain? Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, took over the Ten Rings organization at the end of the movie. Some fans believe she could become a villain using the Ten Rings for power. She could create a morally gray anti-hero organization like the Thunderbolts. Her future is one of the biggest mysteries in the MCU right now. Will Shang-Chi join the Avengers? With Phase 5 and 6 of the MACU focusing on multiversal threats, Shang-Chi could become a major Avenger in future movies like Avengers, Secret Wars Avengers, The Kang Dynasty Doctor, Strange 3, if it explores more mystical elements. His connection to Wong in the magical world suggests he will play a role in battles against cosmic threats. 5. Conclusion. Why Shang-Chi is a masterpiece. A perfect blend of action, emotion, and culture. Breathtaking fight choreography that rivals the best martial arts films. A deeply emotional story about family, grief, and self-discovery. A legendary villain in Wenwu who is both powerful and tragic. A landmark moment for Asian representation, proving that diverse stories can be. Box office hits. B. The film's lasting legacy. It broke box office records, proving that Asian-led movies can dominate Hollywood. It introduced a new kind of Marvel hero, one who is both powerful and deeply human. It set up future Marvel mysteries, ensuring that Shang-Chi will have a major role in an MC. With a sequel confirmed and Shang-Chi's growing importance in Marvel's future, the movie's success is only the beginning. Final rating, 4.85. Action. Some of the best fight scenes in MCU history. Story, emotional, but some pacing issues. Visuals, breathtaking mix of CGI and practical effects. Villain, Wenwu is one of Marvel's greatest villains. Impact, a landmark film for representation and diversity. Would you like me to expand on behind-the-scenes details, upcoming Marvel connections, or theories for Shang-Chi 2? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a deep dive into its success, cultural impact, and future in the MCU. When Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was released in 2021, it wasn't just another Marvel film. It was a revolutionary milestone in superhero cinema. With a stunning mix of action, heart, mythology, and representation, it became one of the most beloved and highest-grossing films of its time. In this in-depth analysis, we will explore how Shang-Chi changed the MCU and Hollywood, the deep cultural impact of the film, its groundbreaking action sequences, the mysterious future of Shang-Chi in the MCU. Fan theories and predictions for the sequel. 1. How Shang-Chi redefined superhero movies. Before Shang-Chi, Marvel movies often followed a familiar formula. A hero gains powers, accidentally or through inheritance, fights a villain, and learns a lesson. But Shang-Chi took a different approach, introducing a protagonist with earned abilities, deep emotional conflicts, and a rich cultural background. A unique hero's journey. Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, is not a traditional superhero. Unlike Thor or Iron Man, he wasn't gifted with powers or wealth. Instead, he trained since childhood in deadly martial arts, was emotionally scarred by his father's expectations, chose his own path, rejecting his father's criminal empire. This made him more relatable than many other MCU heroes. Instead of just fighting a villain, he was battling his past, his trauma, and his own identity. Be a villain, unlike any other. Wenwu, Tony Leung. Wenwu, also known as the Mandarin, is one of the most complex and tragic villains in Marvel history. Unlike typical villains who seek power for the sake of it, Wenwu genuinely loves his family but doesn't know how to express it, is blinded by grief, believing he can bring his wife back, is both cruel and caring, making him an unpredictable and layered antagonist. Tony Leung's performance elevated Wenwu beyond a standard villain. He became a tragic father figure, one of Marvel's most emotional and powerful characters. See the best fight scenes in the MCU. Shang-Chi was a game-changer for action choreography, inspired by classic Hong Kong cinema. Top 3 fight scenes that stood out. 1. The Bus Fight, a fast-paced brawl inspired by Jackie Chan's fight choreography, mixing humor and high-stakes action. 2. The Scaffold Battle, a visually stunning fight that combined acrobatics, martial arts, and environmental hazards. 3. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu, a breathtaking father-son duel that blended magic, emotion, and traditional martial arts. Each fight told a story, showing Shang-Chi's growth and struggle with his past. 2. The cultural impact of Shang-Chi, a breakthrough for Asian representation in Hollywood. Before Shang-Chi, Asian representation in Hollywood was limited to side characters or stereotypes. This film shattered that trend by featuring an all-Asian main cast in a blockbuster superhero film, incorporating Mandarin dialogue naturally instead of forcing only English, celebrating Asian mythology, history, and martial arts authentically. The success of Shang-Chi proved that diverse stories could dominate the box office. B. How Shang-Chi reshaped the MCU's future. Because of Shang-Chi's massive success, Marvel greenlit a sequel immediately. Expanded Asian-led stories, e.g., Eternals. Doctor Strange 2 hired more Asian directors and writers, ensuring better cultural representation. For many Asian audiences, seeing a hero who looked like them and spoke their language was deeply meaningful. 3. The box office success and awards. Record-breaking box office numbers. Despite being released during a pandemic, Shang-Chi broke multiple records. Biggest Labor Day opening ever. $75. $4 million domestically. $432 million worldwide, making it one of the top-grossing films of 2021, a hit in China and Asia, despite initial skepticism about Western portrayals of Asian culture. B. Award recognition. Academy Awards nomination, Best Visual Effects. Critics' Choice Award for Best Action Movie. People's Choice Award for Best Action Star, Simu Liu. Screen Actors Guild nomination for Best Stunt Ensemble. The film was not only a commercial success, but also earned critical respect. 4. What's next for Shang-Chi? Marvel has confirmed that Shang-Chi will return in future MCU projects. A. The Mystery of the Ten Rings. The post-credits scene revealed that the 10 rings are sending a mysterious signal into space. Theories include 1. A connection to Kang the Conqueror. The rings could be ancient time-traveling technology. 2. A warning to Galactus. The cosmic villain may be drawn to the ring's power. 3. A link to the Celestials. The rings might be an ancient artifact tied to Eternals. This means might be an ancient artifact tied to Eternals. भाई इस ठंड में लोग सबसे ज्यादा क्या चाहते हैं? गर्म चाय। क्यों ना तुम चाय का ठेला लगाओ, अपने भाई को भी साथ ले लो। 2 लोग होंगे तो काम आसान हो जाएगा और फायदा भी अच्छा होगा. 4. What's next for Shang-Chi? Marvel has confirmed that Shang-Chi will return in future MCU projects. A. The Mystery of the 10 Rings. The post-credits scene revealed that the 10 rings are sending a mysterious signal into space. Theories include 1. A connection to Kang the Conqueror. The rings could be ancient time-traveling technology. 2. A warning to Galactus. The cosmic villain may be drawn to the ring's power. 3. A link to the Celestials. The rings might be an ancient artifact tied to Eternals. This means Shang-Chi could play a major role in future MCU cosmic storylines. B. Xialing's rise as a new power player. Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, took over the 10 rings at the end of the film. Some fans believe she will become a villain, using the 10 rings for personal gain, create an anti-hero organization, rivaling groups like the Thunderbolts, join forces with Kang or another major villain, leading to a major conflict. Her character arc is one of the most exciting unanswered questions in the MCU. Will Shang-Chi join the Avengers? Many fans expect Shang-Chi to be a key member of the next Avengers team, possibly appearing in Avengers, the Kang Dynasty Avengers, Secret Wars Doctor Strange 3. Due to his mystical connections, His connection with Wong suggests he will play a big role in battles against multiversal and magical threats. 5. Fan theories for Shang-Chi 2, with a sequel confirmed. Here are the top fan predictions. Shang-Chi will battle Khan's forces, playing a key role in the multiversal war. Sion's Ten Rings organization will clash with the Avengers. More mystical creatures from Ta Lo will be introduced. A connection to Iron Fist's mythology could be revealed. Marvel has teased that the sequel will expand Shang-Chi's role beyond Earth, making him a key cosmic hero. 6. Final thoughts. Why Shang-Chi is one of Marvel's greatest films. A perfect blend of action, emotion, and culture. Some of the best fight scenes in MCU history. A deeply emotional story about family and redemption. One of Marvel's most complex and tragic villains. A major step forward for diversity in Hollywood. A hero that audiences genuinely care about. B. The film's lasting legacy. It broke barriers for Asian-led superhero films. It proved that diverse stories can be global hits. It set up one of the most exciting futures in the MCU. With a confirmed sequel, major MCU connections, and lasting cultural impact, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings isn't just a great Marvel film. It's one of the most important superhero movies of the modern era. Would you like me to cover more behind-the-scenes details, MQ connections, or deeper character analysis? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a deep exploration of its legacy, cultural impact, and future in the MCU. When Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings premiered in 2021, it was more than just another Marvel movie. It was a cinematic event that reshaped the superhero genre. It delivered a stunning mix of martial arts action, emotional storytelling, rich mythology, and groundbreaking representation, making it one of the most significant films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. This deep dive will explore how Shang-Chi revolutionized superhero storytelling, the film's cultural and historical significance behind the scenes, details on action choreography and visual effects, its connections to the larger MUE and upcoming sequels, major fan theories, and predictions for the future of Shang-Chi. 1. How Shang-Chi redefined the superhero genre. Superhero movies have typically followed a familiar formula where characters acquire their powers either through technology, mutation, or divine birthright. However, Shang-Chi took a completely different approach to the hero's journey. A hero, unlike any other. Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, is not a hero by chance or accident. His journey is deeply personal and emotionally driven. Unlike Tony Stark, Iron Man, or Steve Rogers, Captain America, Shang-Chi is not handed a suit or serum. Unlike Thor or Black Panther, he is not born into royalty or power. His abilities are not supernatural, but come from rigorous training, discipline, and personal growth. What makes Shang-Chi unique is his struggle with identity. He is torn between two worlds, his father's expectations of him becoming a warrior and heir to the Ten Rings, his own desire for freedom and a normal life in San Francisco. This internal conflict makes Shang-Chi one of the most relatable Marvel heroes to date. B. Wenwu, one of the greatest MCU villains. Tony Leung's portrayal of Xu Wenwu, also known as the Mandarin, elevated him to one of the most complex and tragic villains in Marvel history. Why Wenwu stands out? He is not purely evil. His love for his wife and children is genuine. He is not just power-hungry. His actions are motivated by grief and longing. He is a deeply flawed father, torn between discipline and love. Unlike one-dimensional villains, Wenwu's motivations make him a tragic figure, comparable to characters like Killmonger and Thanos. His final moments of redemption make him even more powerful as a character. 2. The cultural and historical significance of Shang-Chi. Before Shang-Chi, Asian representation in Hollywood blockbusters was limited, stereotyped, or absent. The film broke barriers in several ways. The first Asian-led superhero film in the MCU, Shang-Chi, marked the first time an Asian character headlined a Marvel movie. The film's global success proved that Asian-led stories could dominate Hollywood. It inspired a new generation of Asian representation in Western cinema. Be accurate and respectful representation. Hollywood has often depicted Asian culture through westernized stereotypes. Shang-Chi changed that by hiring an Asian director, Destin Daniel Cretton, to bring an authentic perspective. Casting native Mandarin-speaking actors like Tony Leung and Michelle Yeoh, avoiding old Hollywood stereotypes, such as the Fu Manchu trope. One of the film's greatest strengths is that Mandarin and English are used naturally, reflecting how many bilingual families communicate. See Shang-Chi's impact on the global audience for many Asian viewers. Seeing a hero who looked like them, spoke their language, and embraced their culture was deeply meaningful. The film became a source of pride for Asian communities worldwide. 3. The unparalleled action choreography. Inspired by martial arts legends, the fight choreography in Shang-Chi was influenced by Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, Jet Li, and classic wuxia films. The bus fight was a tribute to Jackie Chan's stunt-heavy combat. The scaffold fight combined wire fu elements from classic Hong Kong action films. The Wenwu vs. Jiang Li fight was a homage to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Unlike previous Marvel films that rely on CGI-heavy battles, Shang-Chi embraced practical martial arts and stunts, giving the fights a grounded, visceral feel. 4. MCU connections and the future of Shang-Chi. The mystery of the Ten Rings. In the post-credits scene, Wong, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner analyze the Ten Rings, revealing that they are 1. Ancient and possibly extraterrestrial in origin. 2. Sending a mysterious signal across the universe. Fan theories: the rings could be linked to Kang the Conqueror, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. They may be connected to the Celestials or Galactus, Eternals. They could be a forgotten relic of Q-Nun, tying into Iron Fist's mythology. B. Xialing's rise to power. Shang-Chi's sister, Xiaoling, takes over the Ten Rings at the end of the film. B. Xialing's rise to power. Shang-Chi's sister, Xiaoling, takes over the Ten Rings at the end of the film. Will she become a villain or an anti-hero? Will she ally with Kang or form her own secret empire? This storyline is one of the most exciting unanswered questions in the MCU. See Shang-Chi's future in the Avengers. Marvel has confirmed a sequel to Shang-Chi, and he is expected to play a key role in Avengers, the Kang Dynasty, and Secret Wars. Team up with Doctor Strange, Wong, and the mystical side of the MCU. Possibly lead the new Avengers, given his rising importance. 5. Fan theories for Shang-Chi. 2. With a confirmed sequel, fans have speculated on possible directions. 1. Shang-Chi's mother's origins. Could Jiang Li still be alive in Talo? 2. The return of Wenwu. His soul may still be linked to the Ten Rings. 3. Iron Fist connection. Could Shang-Chi train with Danny Rand? 4. New cosmic villains. The sequel might introduce Kang, Galactus, or the Beyonder. 5. Multiversal implications. If Secret Wars rewrites reality, Shang-Chi may play a major role. Marvel has teased that the sequel will expand Shang-Chi's role beyond Earth, making him a key cosmic hero. 6. Conclusion: why Shang-Chi is one of Marvel's greatest films, some of the best action scenes in MCU history. An emotional, meaningful story about family and redemption. A legendary villain in Wenwu. A milestone for diversity and representation in Hollywood. A film that redefined what superhero movies could be. With a confirmed sequel, deep MCU connections, and lasting cultural impact, Shang-Chi is not just a great Marvel film. It is one of the most important superhero movies of the modern era. Would you like more insights on behind-the-scenes details, upcoming MCU crossovers, or additional theories? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, a definitive breakdown of its success, cultural impact, and future in the MCU. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is more than just another Marvel film. It's a cultural milestone, a game-changer in action cinema, and a new blueprint for diversity in Hollywood blockbusters. Released in 2021, it introduced audiences to Marvel's first Asian superhero lead, played by Simu Liu, and delivered an emotionally powerful, visually stunning, and action-packed film. In this comprehensive deep dive, we will explore how Shang-Chi broke superhero movie conventions, the cultural and cinematic significance of the film, the evolution of action choreography in Hollywood, the deeper meaning of the Ten Rings and their MCU connections, Shang-Chi's future and his role in the next phase of Marvel films. Let's take a detailed look at why Shang-Chi became one of the most important superhero films of the modern era. 1. Shang-Chi's unique hero's journey. A different kind of superhero story. Marvel has introduced a wide variety of superheroes over the years, from billionaire playboys, Iron Man, to Norse gods, Thor, to genetically enhanced super soldiers, Captain America. But Shang-Chi's journey is unlike any other. A hero who earned his power through hardship. Shang-Chi's story is unique because he wasn't born with power, unlike Thor or Black Panther. He didn't gain powers accidentally, unlike Spider-Man or Hulk. He wasn't chosen for greatness, unlike Captain America or Doctor Strange. Instead, his abilities were the result of grueling martial arts training from childhood, forced upon him by his father, Xu Wenwu, the leader of the Ten Rings criminal empire. Shang-Chi's journey is one of self-discovery, where he must embrace his past, not as a burden, but as a source of strength. B. The emotional core of the story. Family and redemption. Unlike many other Marvel heroes who battle cosmic threats or technological villains, Shang-Chi's greatest conflict is personal. He must confront his father's legacy as the leader of the Ten Rings, the guilt of leaving his sister behind when he ran away, his own fear of becoming like his father. This emotional depth adds a new layer of storytelling that many superhero films lack. See Shang-Chi's growth as a hero. At the beginning of the film, Shang-Chi is just an ordinary valet in San Francisco, hiding from his past. But by the end, he has embraced his mother's graceful Ta Lo fighting style, accepted his father's martial arts discipline without his cruelty, found his own balance and identity as a hero. His journey makes him one of the most relatable and grounded heroes in the MCU. 2. Wenwu. One of the most tragic and complex villains in MCU history. One of the biggest strengths of Shang-Chi is Xu Wenwu, played by legendary actor Tony Leung. Unlike generic power-hungry villains, Wenwu is a father first and a warlord second. A villain motivated by love, not power. What sets Wenwu apart is that he doesn't seek world domination. He just wants his family back. Genuinely loves his children but doesn't know how. Unlike villains like Thanos or Loki, who seek control, Wenwu's motivation is his desperation to resurrect his dead wife, which ultimately leads to his downfall. B. The complexity of Wenwu's character. Wenwu is both cruel and kind, which makes him a deeply layered character. He trains Shang-Chi with brutal discipline, yet still loves him. He mourns his wife's death, but allows his grief to turn him into a monster. He is one of the most powerful warriors in history, yet is ultimately defeated by his own illusions. This nuanced portrayal elevates him above most MCU villains. 3. The unparalleled action and martial arts cinematography. A. Bringing traditional martial arts to the MCU, Shang-Chi's fight choreography is some of the best ever seen in a Marvel film. Inspired by Jackie Chan's comedic yet dangerous stunts, seen in the bus fight, Jet Li's precision and fluidity, seen in the Ta Lo fight scenes. Classic wuxia films like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, seen in Jan Li vs. Wenwu. B. The three best fight scenes in the film. 1. The bus fight, a breathtaking, fast-paced sequence that introduced Shang-Chi's fighting style to audiences. 2. The scaffold battle, one of the most visually stunning fights, combining height, danger, and hand-to-hand combat. 3. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu, an emotional battle that wasn't just about strength, but about family, legacy, and destiny. 4. The mystery of the Ten Rings. what they really are at the end of the film. Wong, Benedict Wong, Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo, and Captain Marvel, Brie Larson, analyzed the 10 rings, revealing that the rings are sending a beacon into space. They are far older than Wenwu himself. They have a mysterious unknown origin. Fan theories. 1. The rings could be linked to Kang the Conqueror. The rings may be remnants of ancient multiversal technology. 2. They might be a warning to Galactus. The cosmic entity could be drawn to their power. 3. They could be connected to the Eternals or Celestials. Their energy signature resembles celestial artifacts. These hints suggest that Shang-Chi's next adventure may be cosmic in scale. 5. The future of Shang-Chi in the MCU Marvel has confirmed that Shang-Chi will return in a sequel in an upcoming Avengers films. What we know about Shang-Chi, Tu Xiling has taken over the 10 rings, but will she be a villain or an ally? The 10 rings are calling to something in the universe. Could this introduce a new villain? Will we see other martial arts heroes like Iron Fist join the MCU? Shang-Chi in Avengers. The Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, Shang-Chi will likely become a key member of the new Avengers. Given his connections with Wong and the mystical side of the MCU, he may fight against Kang, the Conqueror, help in the multiversal war in Secret Wars, become a major leader in the next Avengers team. 6. Final thoughts. Why Shang-Chi is one of Marvel's greatest films, a beautifully told story of family, destiny, and redemption. Some of the best martial arts choreography ever seen in the MCU. A powerful villain with emotional depth. A breakthrough for Asian representation in Hollywood. A film that sets up an exciting new chapter for the MCU. With a confirmed sequel, deep connections to the larger Marvel universe, and a hero who is only just getting started, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is not just a great film, it's a cultural and cinematic milestone. Would you like an even deeper exploration into behind-the-scenes secrets, deleted scenes, or Shang-Chi's possible crossover with other MCU characters? Negative responses to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. While Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings received overwhelmingly positive reviews, it wasn't without its criticisms. Some viewers and critics pointed out flaws in the story, pacing, and visual effects, while others felt the film struggled with balancing Marvel's signature humor with its serious themes. Here's a breakdown of the most common negative responses to the film. 1. The third act felt generic and overly CGI-heavy. Many viewers praised the first 2 acts of the film, particularly the grounded, hand-to-hand fight sequences in the bus scene, a raw, intense action sequence. The scaffold fight, a beautifully choreographed martial arts battle. However, in the third act, the film shifts from grounded action to a CGI-heavy battle featuring a giant dragon versus a soul-sucking demon, a large-scale battle between the 10 Rings and Talo warriors, Shang-Chi flying through the air with the 10 Rings using magic instead of martial arts. Criticism. Some fans felt the final battle lost the essence of the martial arts film that was established earlier. Instead of an emotional father-son showdown, the climax turned into a typical Marvel spectacle with heavy CGI, resembling Doctor Strange or Black Panther's third-act battles. 2 underdeveloped supporting characters. While Shang-Chi and Wenwu were well-developed, other characters felt underutilized or lacking depth. Xialing, Shang-Chi's sister. While Xialing was a strong character, her arc felt rushed. She had a great backstory, being neglected by her father and building an underground fighting empire, but didn't get much development. The post-credit scene shows her taking over the 10 Rings, but the movie doesn't explore her emotions toward her father or brother in depth. Katie, Awkwafina's character. While Katie was a fun sidekick, some fans felt she didn't add much to the story. Beyond comic relief, her sudden mastery of archery in the final battle felt unrealistic and rushed. Some critics felt her humor clashed with the serious moments of the film. Death Dealer, Shang-Chi's mentor. The masked warrior looked intimidating, but was wasted. He was built up as an important trainer in Shang-Chi's life, but was killed off unceremoniously. Many fans wanted a proper fight between Shang-Chi and Death Dealer, but instead, the character was eliminated by the Dweller in Darkness. 3. The Mandarin retcon, Trevor Slattery's return. In Iron Man 3, Ben Kingsley's Trevor Slattery played a fake version of the Mandarin, which angered many comic book fans. Criticism. While Shang-Chi tried to fix the Mandarin controversy by introducing Wenwu as the real villain, the inclusion of Trevor Slattery as a comic relief character felt unnecessary and out of place. Some felt Trevor's screen time could have been used for deeper storytelling instead of humor. 4. Pacing issues and uneven tone. Some viewers found the movie's pacing inconsistent, especially in the second half. Fast-paced, first half versus slower second half. The first half of the movie moves quickly with intense action sequences, bus fight, scaffold fight, underground tournament. The second half slows down significantly once they arrive in Tello, focusing more on exposition and world building. Some critics felt this shift disrupted the film's momentum. The balance of comedy and seriousness. Like many Marvel films, Shang-Chi tries to mix humor with drama, but some felt the comedy undercut serious moments. Katie's constant quips felt forced during high-stakes emotional scenes. Trevor Slattery's comedic relief felt unnecessary when the story was building tension. 5. Weak villain payoff for Wenwu, the Mandarin. Wenwu's quick death felt rushed. Wenwu was one of the best Marvel villains, but his death felt too sudden. Instead of a true emotional confrontation between father and son, he was killed by the Dweller in Darkness, an entirely new and underdeveloped threat introduced at the last minute. Being no true closure for Shang-Chi and his father, the emotional weight of their relationship deserved a more personal resolution. Many fans expected a true one-on-one fight to settle their differences, but Wenwu simply gives up the rings before dying. 6. Lack of connection to the larger MCU. While Shang-Chi is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, some fans felt it didn't connect enough to the larger storylines. Where was Doctor Strange? The film takes place in San Francisco, where Doctor Strange operates. With all the mystical elements, some fans wondered why Doctor Strange or Wong didn't intervene sooner. The Ten Rings connection to the MCU is still a mystery. The post-credits scene hints that the Ten Rings are calling out to something in space, but the movie never explains their true origins. Some fans expected a bigger reveal, possibly linking them to Kang the Conqueror. 4. Pacing issues and uneven tone. Some viewers found the movie's pacing inconsistent, especially in the second half. Fast-paced, first half versus slower second half. The first half of the movie moves quickly with intense action sequences, bus fight, scaffold fight, underground tournament. The second half slows down significantly once they arrive in Tello, focusing more on exposition and world building. Some critics felt this shift disrupted the film's momentum. The balance of comedy and seriousness. Like many Marvel films, Shang-Chi tries to mix humor with drama, but some felt the comedy undercut serious moments. Katie's constant quips felt forced during high-stakes emotional scenes. Trevor Slattery's comedic relief felt unnecessary when the story was building tension. 5. Weak villain payoff for Wenwu, the Mandarin. Wenwu's quick death felt rushed. Wenwu was one of the best Marvel villains, but his death felt too sudden. Instead of a true emotional confrontation between father and son, he was killed by the Dweller in Darkness, an entirely new and underdeveloped threat introduced at the last minute. No true closure for Shang-Chi and his father. The emotional weight of their relationship deserved a more personal resolution. Many fans expected a true one-on-one fight to settle their differences, but Wenwu simply gives up the rings before dying. 6. Lack of connection to the larger MCU. While Shang-Chi is set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, some fans felt it didn't connect enough to the larger storylines. Where was Doctor Strange? The film takes place in San Francisco, where Doctor Strange operates. With all the mystical elements, some fans wondered why Doctor Strange or Wong didn't intervene sooner. B. The Ten Rings connection to the MECU is still a mystery. The post-credits scene hints that the Ten Rings are calling out to something in space, but the movie never explains their true origins. Some fans expected a bigger reveal, possibly linking them to Kang the Conqueror, the Celestials, or other major MECU villains. 7. Predictable storytelling and formulaic Marvel tropes. While the film brought new cultural elements and amazing action, some aspects of the story followed a predictable Marvel formula. The reluctant hero who must accept his destiny. The powerful villain who ultimately sacrifices himself. A CGI-heavy final battle with a giant monster. A post-credits tease for future MCU films. Some fans wanted Shang-Chi to take bigger creative risks rather than sticking to the familiar Marvel structure. Conclusion: a great film with some flaws, strengths, incredible action choreography, and fight scenes. Wenwu is a strong, complex villain. The film brought meaningful Asian representation to the MCU. Stunning visuals, cinematography, and world building. Weaknesses: overuse of CGI in the third act. Underdeveloped supporting characters. Trevor Slattery's comedy felt unnecessary. The final battle relied too much on spectacle instead of martial arts. Pacing issues and tonal inconsistencies. Overall, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings remains one of Marvel's most successful and groundbreaking films, but it's not without its flaws. Would you like a deeper analysis of specific criticisms, deleted scenes, or changes that could have improved the movie? A deeper look at the criticisms of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. While Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was widely celebrated as one of Marvel's best origin stories, it wasn't without flaws and criticisms. Despite its impressive action choreography, emotional storytelling, and groundbreaking representation, some fans and critics pointed out narrative weaknesses, tonal inconsistencies, and formulaic MCU tropes that held the film back from being a truly exceptional masterpiece. This deep dive will explore 1. The overuse of CGI in the third act. Did Marvel abandon martial arts in favor of CGI spectacle? 2. Underdeveloped supporting characters. Were Xialing, Katie, and Death Dealer wasted? 3. Pacing issues and tonal inconsistencies. Did humor ruin serious moments? 4. The Mandarin retcon and Trevor Slattery's return. Was it necessary? 5. When was wasted potential as a villain? Did he deserve a better send-off? 6. Lack of connection. To the larger MCU, why did Doctor Strange, the Avengers, or S.H.I.E.L.D. not intervene? 7. Formulaic storytelling. Did Shang-Chi follow the same predictable Marvel structure? 1. The overuse of CGI in the third act. One of the biggest criticisms of Shang-Chi was its transition from grounded martial arts action to an over-the-top, CGI-heavy climax. A. The strength of the first two acts. The bus fight scene was praised for its tight choreography, practical stunts, and dynamic camera work, reminiscent of Jackie Chan's classic fight sequences. The scaffold battle was a masterclass in tension and movement, showcasing Shang-Chi's agility and skill. The Underground Fight Club featured a well-executed battle with Wong and Abomination, teasing deeper MCU connections. B. The shift to CGI and fantasy elements. Once the story moves to Ta Lo, the film abandons its hand-to-hand combat in favor of mystical creatures and magical powers. The final battle against Dweller in Darkness felt detached from the rest of the movie, turning into a standard Marvel CGI spectacle rather than a martial arts showdown. Instead of a pure martial arts battle between Shang-Chi and Wenwu, their fight was interrupted by a giant soul-sucking dragon, which disappointed fans who expected an emotional and personal final duel. C. Could the climax have been better? Many fans believe the final fight should have been purely between Shang-Chi and Wenwu, with Shang-Chi defeating his father through skill rather than magic. The dragon battle, while visually stunning, felt disconnected from the grounded storytelling of the first two acts. Some fans felt the magic elements should have been toned down, keeping the focus on martial arts and emotional conflict. 2. Underdeveloped supporting characters. While Shang-Chi himself was well-developed, several key supporting characters felt underused or rushed. Xiaoling sister was introduced as a strong, independent warrior who built her own underground fight club. Her backstory, being neglected by her father and training herself in secret, was compelling. However, her character arc was rushed, and she didn't get enough screen time. The post-credits scene reveals she has taken over the 10 rings, but the film doesn't explore her true motivations. Katie, Awkwafina's character. Katie provided comic relief and was Shang-Chi's best friend. Her growth from aimless slacker to hero was an interesting arc. However, her sudden ability to master archery within a day felt unrealistic and forced. Some fans felt her humor undermined serious moments, particularly during the final battle. See Death Dealer, Shang-Chi's mentor. Death Dealer was a mysterious and intimidating figure, teased as one of Shang-Chi's most important trainers. Unfortunately, he was completely wasted, killed off without a proper fight. Many fans felt his showdown with Shang-Chi should have been a major emotional moment, but instead, he was easily defeated. 3. Pacing issues and tonal inconsistencies. One of the biggest complaints about Shang-Chi was its uneven pacing and tonal shifts. A fast-paced first half versus slow second half. The film starts with a bang, delivering fast-paced action and mystery. However, once Shang-Chi and Katie arrive in Talo, the film slows down significantly with heavy exposition and world-building. Some critics felt this killed the movie's momentum right before the final battle. B. Humor undermining serious moments. Marvel films are known for mixing comedy with action, but some fans felt Shang-Chi relied too much on jokes, especially during emotional scenes. Trevor Slattery's return, Ben Kingsley's character from Iron Man 3, was divisive. While some found him funny, others felt he ruined the tension of the story. Katie's jokes sometimes clashed with dramatic moments, making it hard to fully engage with the story's emotional weight. B. Humor undermining serious moments. Marvel films are known for mixing comedy with action, but some fans felt Shang-Chi relied too much on jokes, especially during emotional scenes. Trevor Slattery's return, Ben Kingsley's character from Iron Man 3, was divisive. While some found him funny, others felt he ruined the tension of the story. Katie's jokes sometimes clashed with dramatic moments, making it hard to fully engage with the story's emotional weight. 4. The Mandarin retcon and Trevor Slattery's return. The film attempted to fix Iron Man 3's controversial Mandarin twist, where it was revealed that the villain was actually an actor named Trevor Slattery. Shang-Chi introduced the real Mandarin, Wenwu, giving him depth and emotional complexity. However, Trevor's return as comic relief felt unnecessary and distracted from the main story. Some fans felt that Marvel should have just ignored the Iron Man 3 mistake instead of bringing Trevor back. 5. Wenwu's wasted potential as a villain. Wenwu, played by Tony Leung, was one of the most complex villains in the MCU. However, his character arc and final moments disappointed some fans. His motivation was unique. He was not seeking power, but trying to resurrect his dead wife. His death felt too sudden, as he was killed by the Dweller in Darkness instead of his son. Many fans wanted a final emotional duel between father and son, rather than an abrupt magical intervention. 6. Lack of connection to the larger MCU. Despite being part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Shang-Chi felt surprisingly isolated from the larger Marvel storylines. Doctor Strange's absence. Since the film deals with magic, many fans wondered why Doctor Strange or Wong didn't intervene earlier. The Ten Rings' true origins remain a mystery. While the post-credits scene hints at cosmic connections, the movie itself doesn't explain where the rings came from or why they are calling to something in space. 7. formulaic Marvel storytelling, while Shang-Chi introduced new cultural elements and fresh action. Some aspects of the film followed a predictable Marvel formula. A reluctant hero discovering his destiny. A family-driven conflict with a tragic villain. A CGI-heavy final battle with a giant creature. A post-credits tease for future MCU connections. Many fans wished Shang-Chi had taken bigger creative risks rather than sticking to Marvel's safe storytelling structure. Final verdict: a strong film with room for improvement. Strengths: fantastic action, emotional storytelling, great villain. Weaknesses: overuse of CGI, weak supporting characters, predictable Marvel tropes. Would you like a rewritten version of how the movie's final battle could have been improved, or an analysis of how Shang-Chi fits into future Marvel films? Further exploration of criticisms in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings received acclaim for its portrayal of Asian culture, emotional depth, and martial arts choreography, but despite this, there were several key aspects that didn't fully resonate with some audiences and critics. By digging deeper into the negative responses, we can better understand what didn't work as well in the film and how it could have been improved. Here are even further insights on the film's weak points, as well as a broader perspective on its place within the MCU and the genre as a whole. 1. CGI-heavy final act and the loss of martial arts roots. As mentioned earlier, one of the central criticisms of Shang-Chi was the shift from grounded martial arts action to overblown CGI in the final act. While the visual effects were impressive, many fans who expected the film to remain true to its martial arts roots felt a disconnect. The escalation to fantasy. The first two-thirds of the film were refreshing in how they focused on brutal, well-choreographed combat. The bus scene, the scaffold fight, and the underground fight club all had a realistic, intimate quality, making them feel like part of a martial arts film rather than a typical superhero spectacle. However, the film took a sharp turn toward the fantastical when it shifted to Talo. The setting, full of magical creatures and exotic visuals, was vibrant and beautiful, but it was also jarring after the previous grounded narrative. The giant dragon and soul-sucking monster fight, while exciting, felt more akin to a superhero movie battle, abandoning the authenticity of martial arts that had been so carefully established in earlier moments. The final battle's excessive use of CGI and the dragons felt more like something out of Doctor Strange or Black Panther, with a cosmic scale of stakes that seemed out of place in the world-building of Shang-Chi. The loss of grounded combat in the final act disappointed those who were hoping for a more personal conflict, like a confrontation between father and son based on their martial prowess, rather than an epic battle with large-scale visual effects. Could the film have been different? The film could have ended with a more personal, intimate conflict. For instance, Shang-Chi could have fought Wenwu in a traditional martial arts duel, using his 10 rings in a more controlled and deliberate way, perhaps even breaking the mystical hold they had over Wenwu. Instead, the climax shifted towards magic, with too much reliance on visual effects that took away from the authenticity of the action. This also affected the pacing, as the film went from grounded, tension-filled moments to large-scale destruction. The deeper emotional arc between Shang-Chi and his father could have been explored more deeply through a physical confrontation rather than an abrupt external magical force. 2. Underdeveloped supporting characters and their story arcs. While Shang-Chi was the focus, the film featured multiple interesting characters who were either underused or had their arcs cut short, leaving them feeling underdeveloped. Xiaoling's story. Xiaoling, played by Meng'er Zhang, had one of the most intriguing backstories in the film. She was a girl who was abandoned by her father, forced to grow up on her own, and eventually created an underground fighting empire in secret. This narrative had immense potential to explore themes of family neglect, rebellion, and self-determination. However, her storyline felt rushed in the latter part of the film. After a powerful fight in which she bested both Shang-Chi and their father, her character arc largely took a backseat. By the end of the film, Xialing takes over the Ten Rings, but we never get a deeper exploration of her motivations or emotional state regarding her father's death or her role as the new leader of the organization. The lack of emotional resolution between her and Shang-Chi left many viewers wanting more from the sibling dynamic. While they shared a strong bond, their relationship felt somewhat unresolved by the film's conclusion. Xiaoling's future role in the MCU has significant potential, but it felt as if the film missed a chance to delve deeper into her psyche. Katie's development and her role in the final act. Awkwafina's character, Katie, was a fun, quirky companion to Shang-Chi, providing much-needed comic relief. However, some viewers found that she was too humorous for a film that tackled serious themes like family trauma, duty, and redemption. Katie's character was framed as someone who lacked ambition and was hesitant about stepping up, but her sudden archery skills during the final battle seemed forced. Katie's growth throughout the film felt more like a light-hearted narrative tool than a well-developed personal arc. Some fans wanted Katie to have a more substantial role, particularly when it came to helping Shang-Chi and Bat. Underdeveloped supporting characters and their story arcs. While Shang-Chi was the focus, the film featured multiple interesting characters who were either underused or had their arcs cut short, leaving them feeling underdeveloped. Xiaoling's story, Xialing, played by Meng'er Zhang, had one of the most intriguing backstories in the film. She was a girl who was abandoned by her father, forced to grow up on her own, and eventually created an underground fighting empire in secret. This narrative had immense potential to explore themes of family neglect, rebellion, and self-determination. However, her storyline felt rushed in the latter part of the film. After a powerful fight in which she bested both Shang-Chi and their father, her character arc largely took a backseat. By the end of the film, Xiaoling takes over the Ten Rings, but we never get a deeper exploration of her motivations or emotional state regarding her father's death or her role as the new leader of the organization. The lack of emotional resolution between her and Shang-Chi left many viewers wanting more from the sibling dynamic. While they shared a strong bond, their relationship felt somewhat unresolved by the film's conclusion. Xialing's future role in the MCU has significant potential, but it felt as if the film missed a chance to delve deeper into her psyche. Katie's development and her role in the final act. Awkwafina's character, Katie, was a fun, quirky companion to Shang-Chi, providing much-needed comic relief. However, some viewers found that she was too humorous for a film that tackled serious themes like family trauma, duty, and redemption. Katie's character was framed as someone who lacked ambition and was hesitant about stepping up, but her sudden archery skills during the final battle seemed forced. Katie's growth throughout the film felt more like a light-hearted narrative tool than a well-developed personal arc. Some fans wanted Katie to have a more substantial role, particularly when it came to helping Shang-Chi in battle. Instead, her moments felt more like punchlines rather than key turning points in the story. 3. Wenwu's characterization and climax. Wenwu, portrayed by Tony Leung, was one of the most complex villains the MCU has seen. He wasn't simply a power-hungry figure. He was a tragic, misunderstood man, driven by the loss of his beloved wife. However, his arc in death didn't live up to his incredible potential. Wenwu's motivation and depth. Wenwu was more than just a typical villain. He was deeply motivated by grief and love, seeking to resurrect his wife, which added depth and relatability to his character. His relationship with his son, Shang-Chi, was built on expectations, neglect, and a desire for control. This dynamic was fascinating, and Tony Leung's performance was impeccable. However, his tragic arc was ultimately overshadowed by his death at the hands of the Dweller in Darkness, a monster that wasn't developed enough to carry the weight of such a pivotal moment. His death and the missed opportunity for a father-son showdown. Wenwu's death felt anticlimactic, especially after the buildup of his character. The film didn't allow for a true father-son emotional showdown where Shang-Chi's skills and growth could have been tested against the very person who trained him. Instead, Wenwu is killed by the Dweller in Darkness, a seemingly random magical entity, and the stakes are shifted toward the mystical rather than the emotional core of the story. This move disappointed many viewers who were invested in the father-son relationship, hoping for a more personal and satisfying resolution. The lack of closure for Shang-Chi and his father's conflict left many feeling that Wenwu's potential as a villain wasn't fully realized. His death, rather than resolving the story, distracted from the emotional resonance that should have. Concluded the film. 4. Formulaic storytelling and lack of risks. Marvel movies often follow a formula: reluctant hero, tragic villain, giant final battle, and Shang-Chi was no exception, though it still managed to stand out with its fresh perspective and cultural elements. However, there were moments when the film leaned too heavily on familiar tropes and didn't take as many creative risks as it could have. A predictable structure, like most MCU films, Shang-Chi adhered to the well-established formula of the hero's journey. Shang-Chi was forced out of hiding, confronted by his father, had an emotional breakdown, learning about his past, and then ultimately rose to the challenge, defeating his adversary. This was predictable in many ways, even though the film attempted to give it a new twist with the introduction of martial arts elements and Asian culture. In the end, Shang-Chi still followed a similar superhero origin arc to other MCU films, such as Doctor Strange or Black Panther. B missed opportunity for innovation while the martial arts aspect was revolutionary for. Updated Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings movie review. A deeper perspective as Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings continues to be a standout in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. It has sparked new conversations among fans, critics, and analysts about its place in the broader superhero landscape. This updated review will provide a comprehensive, in-depth look at the movie's impact on the genre, its narrative achievements, and areas where it can still evolve. With a focus on its representation, innovative action sequences, and thematic richness, we'll also delve into criticisms that have arisen post-release and address how the MCU might use the lessons learned from Shang-Chi moving forward. 1. Shang-Chi's impact on the MCU. Freshness amidst familiarity. When Shang-Chi first hit theaters in 2021, it marked a significant moment for diversity in the MCU, with a predominantly Asian cast and a deep dive into Chinese mythology and martial arts. Dive into Chinese mythology and martial arts showcased a new approach to the superhero genre, which had previously been dominated by white male heroes. A. Cultural representation and importance. The casting of Simu Liu as the titular hero was historic, not only for Marvel, but for the broader superhero genre. Shang-Chi as a character breaks new ground by embracing Asian culture, and the film explores themes of identity, legacy, and family through the lens of a Chinese immigrant experience. The positive impact on Asian representation in Hollywood is significant. For a large segment of the global audience, Shang-Chi's story provided representation that had been previously underrepresented in blockbuster films, giving fans a character to root for who reflects their cultural heritage. B. Martial arts and action innovation. One of the most celebrated aspects of Shang-Chi is its incredible martial arts choreography. The film's fight sequences are visually stunning, with intricate choreography that feels grounded and unique compared to the flashy CGI-laden battles of many superhero films. The film honored the martial arts genre in a way that hasn't been seen in the MCU before, drawing on iconic figures like Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, and Jet Li. From the bus fight to the scaffold fight, the choreography was praised for being dynamic, fluid, and tightly directed. It brought a new layer to the MECU by introducing a blend of realism and action finesse that grounded the film's spectacle in real-world skills. 2. Character development, depth, strengths, and weaknesses. While the film's core strength lies in its action, it also offers powerful character arcs, especially for its protagonist, Shang-Chi. However, some supporting characters' potential remains underexplored. Shang-Chi, a hero's journey with emotional weight. Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, undergoes a classic hero's journey, but one that's deeply influenced by family trauma and cultural conflict. Unlike many traditional superhero stories, Shang-Chi's internal struggle is shaped by his relationship with his father, Wenwu, and his abandonment of his training in martial arts. Shang-Chi's arc explores forgiveness, self-identity, and the tension between embracing one's past and moving forward. Simu Liu brings heart and authenticity to the role, making Shang-Chi both relatable and aspirational. His character resonates with many viewers who have also had to reconcile with their own family expectations and cultural identity. However, there is still some room for growth in Shang-Chi's arc. His character development, while strong, lacks a deeper exploration of his emotional vulnerability, and there's potential for further exploration in future films of his growth as a leader and hero. Xialing, a complex character in the shadows. Xialing, played by Menger Zhang, emerges as an intriguing secondary character, offering a glimpse into a woman who has been sidelined by her father, only to rise and take control of the Ten Rings. However, her arc feels rushed, and the film doesn't delve deep into the emotional complexity of her character. We understand her motivations, her abandonment, and resentment toward Wenwu, but we don't get a chance to explore how her emotions evolve, particularly regarding her brother's return and their relationship. Xialing's role at the end of the film hints at a more complex future, and fans are hoping that future MECU projects will flesh out her character more, perhaps exploring her as a new leader of the Ten Rings and her impact on the wider MU. Katie. From comic relief to hero in training. Awkwafina's character, Katie, provides the comic relief in the film, but also undergoes an unexpected arc of her own. She starts off as a reluctant hero with no real direction in life, but by the end of the film, she plays a crucial role in the final battle. However, some fans found her sudden transformation into an archer in the final act to be unrealistic and forced, as the film didn't show her training or development in. While Katie serves her purpose as Shang-Chi's sidekick, the film could have done more to explore her potential and give her more agency in the narrative. There's still room to expand on her role in future films, especially if she continues to team up with Shang-Chi. 3. The villain's depth. Wenwu and his missed opportunity. Wenwu, the antagonist played by Tony Leung, is one of the most complex and tragic villains in the MCU. His motivations stem from his grief over the loss of his wife, and he's not a villain out for power for the sake of it. He is driven by love and loss, which makes him relatable and multidimensional. Wenwu's tragic journey. Wenwu's relationship with his son Shang-Chi is the emotional core of the film, showcasing the toxic aspects of parental expectations and unresolved family trauma. His motivations to resurrect his wife and his self-imposed isolation are deeply sympathetic, making him more than just a mustache-twirling villain. His character provides a layer of emotional depth that many MCU villains lack. However, despite his complexity, Wenwu's death in the final battle felt anticlimactic and robbed viewers of a proper emotional confrontation between father and son. The final fight with the Dweller in Darkness overshadowed the personal conflict that had been so carefully developed throughout the film. Wenwu's death, rather than being a satisfying conclusion, felt like a missed opportunity to further develop the father-son relationship and resolve their conflict in a more personal manner. Cinematic execution. The strengths and weaknesses of the final act. While Shang-Chi had strong narrative and character-driven elements, its third act was where many criticisms arose. especially regarding the overuse of CGI and the film's departure from grounded action. CGI overload. As previously discussed, the final act of the film became overwhelmed by CGI with the inclusion of a giant, soul-sucking monster, magical powers, and an explosive dragon battle. While these elements looked visually stunning, they detracted from the gritty, martial arts-focused approach that had been established earlier in the film. Many fans felt the final battle was more in line with standard superhero tropes, rather than staying true to the more grounded martial arts narrative that had made the earlier parts of the film so compelling. This shift in tone weakened the emotional stakes, as the focus moved from personal confrontation to larger-than-life spectacle. Tonal inconsistency. The film also suffers from tonal shifts that feel inconsistent at times. While humor is a staple of the MCU, some moments in Shang-Chi felt overly jokey, especially during serious or emotional beats. This is most noticeable in Katie's humor and the return of Trevor Slattery, the former fake Mandarin from Iron Man 3, who, while funny, somewhat undermines the seriousness of the situation. With his antics, this tonal discrepancy at times left viewers feeling disconnected from the weight of certain moments, like Wenwu's tragic arc or Shang-Chi's internal conflict. 5. Future potential, where Shang-Chi fits into the MCU while Shang-Chi wasn't perfect. It serves as a solid foundation for the character's future within the MCU. Xialing as a new leader. Xialing's taking over the Ten Rings could be pivotal in future films, potentially creating a new faction within the MCU that challenges the status quo of organized crime and power. This shift could tie into the larger cosmic side of the MCU, especially with the Ten Rings cosmic connection, suggesting that Shang-Chi's future adventures may have significant multiverse implications. Shang-Chi's role in future Avengers. As new Avengers are introduced and the multiverse saga unfolds, Shang-Chi is poised to play an important role, bringing martial arts expertise and a unique perspective to the team. His journey will continue to evolve, and with future character development and potentially fewer CGI-heavy finales, Shang-Chi could grow into one of the MCU's most well-rounded heroes. Conclusion. A movie of promise and potential, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings offers a fresh and culturally significant narrative, innovative martial arts action, and emotional depth. While there are areas to improve, particularly in character development and avoiding CGI overload in the third act, the film has set the stage for Shang-Chi's future within the MCU. It's clear that Shang-Chi is here to stay, and with future appearances, there is great potential to further explore his character, his complex family dynamics, and the mythology surrounding the Ten Rings. As the MCU continues to expand, Shang-Chi may very well evolve into one of its most beloved and dynamic heroes. Would you like to explore how the Ten Rings might evolve in future MCU storylines, or dive deeper into Shang-Chi's legacy within the broader superhero genre? Further exploration of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, uncovering layers and future possibilities as we continue to reflect on the legacy of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. It's essential to dive deeper into how the film serves as a pivotal piece in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and its wider cultural implications. While the film sets a new benchmark in superhero cinema, it also leaves room for growth and future development in a variety of areas. Below is a detailed, long-form analysis that looks at Shang-Chi's narrative structure, its importance within the MCU, and unexplored avenues for future installments. 1. The hero's journey redefined. Shang-Chi's path to self-discovery at its core. Shang-Chi is a hero's journey that doesn't follow the typical beats found in many superhero origin stories. Rather than a conventional journey of heroic discovery, Shang-Chi's path is deeply tied to his family, legacy, his trauma, and the conflict between his past and future. While this is familiar in terms of the traditional hero's arc, it is uniquely expressed through Chinese culture and the specific emotional dynamics of his relationship with his father Wenwu. The burden of legacy. Shang-Chi's story is about the burden of legacy. Raised by his father to be a deadly assassin, Shang-Chi's story begins in a way that feels like a rejection of everything his father stood for. His decision to leave the Ten Rings organization and live a relatively carefree life in San Francisco represents a break from the violent past his father imposed upon him. But this escape doesn't come without consequences, and it sets up the film's emotional core, the need for reconciliation with the past in order to move forward. His confrontation with Wenwu is symbolic of a larger struggle, not just a father-son battle, but the tension between tradition and self-determination. Shang-Chi's struggle to define who he is, apart from the expectations of his father, speaks to a broader cultural theme, especially within Asian families where children are often raised with an understanding of the family's legacy and the sacrifices that are expected from them. Father-son dynamic. A strong emotional core. Shang-Chi's dynamic with Wenwu is the emotional heart of the film. Wenwu, far from being a typical villain, is painted as a tragic figure whose actions stem from the overwhelming grief of losing his wife. His desire to bring her back leads him down a path of darkness, and the film explores the complexity of his character, making him sympathetic. At the same time, this depth shows why Shang-Chi must eventually reject his father's path in order to move forward. The father-son relationship is, in essence, the driving force that shapes Shang-Chi into the hero he becomes. Wenwu's tragic flaw lies in his belief that by bringing back his wife, he could rewrite his past. However, his obsession with power ultimately isolates him from the love of his children. This exploration of family trauma and unresolved grief is a powerful narrative thread that sets the film apart from other MCU superhero stories. Instead of the familiar tropes of the hero gaining power or defeating a megalomaniacal villain, Shang-Chi centers on emotional growth, with the hero needing to overcome not just physical adversaries, but also his emotional burden. 2. The cultural significance, Asian representation and storytelling. The significance of Shang-Chi cannot be overstated in terms of Asian representation within the superhero genre. The film made history by featuring a predominantly Asian cast and drawing upon Asian mythology, martial arts traditions, and cultural nuances that had not been explored deeply in mainstream superhero movies before. Breaking stereotypes. Before Shang-Chi, the MCU had been criticized for its lack of diverse representation, especially in roles where Asian characters were often relegated to sidekicks or stereotypical roles. Shang-Chi boldly moves past these stereotypes by offering a character who is not defined by his heritage, but rather shaped by it. He is a hero who struggles with identity, trying to define himself on his own terms, while also contending with his cultural inheritance. This approach to character creation represents a paradigm shift in how Asian characters are portrayed in Hollywood. Rather than adhering to cliches, the film creates a nuanced portrait of Asian identity, showing that it is not something to be hidden or rejected, but something to embrace and understand. The film uses martial arts not just as a spectacle but as a deep cultural symbol, embodying discipline, tradition, and honor. Themes of family and identity. The themes of family and identity are explored in ways that resonate with a wide audience, but particularly with Asian viewers who might see their experiences reflected on screen. The central conflict in the film is one of generational expectations. Shang-Chi is not just fighting. Themes of family and identity. The themes of family and identity are explored in ways that resonate with a wide audience, but particularly with Asian viewers who might see their experiences reflected on screen. The central conflict in the film is one of generational expectations. Shang-Chi is not just fighting against his father's expectations as an assassin, but against an entire legacy of violence and control. His journey of self-discovery is ultimately about breaking free from the chains of generational trauma while still honoring the past. The film offers a much-needed perspective on what it means to inherit a legacy, not only from a father, but also from a culture that has long been overlooked in Hollywood. The portrayal of Shang-Chi's immigrant experience and his desire to balance his dual identities of American and Chinese feels deeply authentic, resonating with audiences who have also experienced a similar conflict between the traditions of their homeland and the desire to live on their own terms. 3. The martial arts choreography. A highlight of realism in superhero action, one of the most standout features of Shang-Chi is its use of martial arts choreography, which sets it apart from other superhero films that often rely on quick cuts and heavy CGI during action sequences. This film embraces the art of combat in a way that feels real, dynamic, and grounded. A precision and fluidity in fight sequences from the bus fight to the scaffold battle. The fight choreography in Shang-Chi feels like a celebration of traditional martial arts and fight craftsmanship. The film isn't just about showcasing superhero power, it's about highlighting technique, speed, and agility, elements that are key to martial arts and are depicted in a way that's rarely seen in a superhero film. The fight sequences do more than just serve as set pieces, they actually further the narrative. For instance, the scaffold fight not only highlights Shang-Chi's skills but also his relationship with his sister Xialing as they fight side by side. This sequence is a true test of their relationship. Both siblings are pitted against their past and their father's legacy, and the fight becomes a symbolic showdown. Similarly, the bus fight serves as the moment where Shang-Chi begins to tap into his past abilities and embrace his heritage. These choreographed sequences aren't just fun action scenes, they have weight and meaning behind them. They convey a level of emotional storytelling that's not often seen in action-heavy blockbusters. B. The clash between tradition and modernity. The film also plays with the contrast between traditional martial arts and the modern-day setting of San Francisco. This juxtaposition of the ancient with the contemporary represents Shang-Chi's own conflict between his heritage and the life he's tried to lead outside of his father's shadow. The action scenes then become a way for Shang-Chi to reconcile these two aspects of himself, the modern man and the traditional warrior. 4. The villain. Wenwu as a tragic figure, Shang-Chi introduces a villain who is far more complex than the usual villain for villain's sake trope seen in many superhero films. Wenwu, portrayed by Tony Leung, is a character driven by love, not malice. His quest for power is rooted in his overwhelming grief over the death of his wife, and his decision to use the 10 rings to resurrect her speaks to his tragic flaws. The tragedy of Wenwu's backstory is central to understanding his motivations. He has lived for centuries, mastering the 10 rings and using them to build an empire, but the loss of his wife, whom he loved deeply, breaks him. This grief leads him to seek a way to reverse time and bring her back, ultimately leading to his descent into madness. His character is not just the embodiment of villainy, but a tragic figure, which makes him more compelling than most MCU antagonists. The father-son conflict. The film explores Wenwu's relationship with his son Shang-Chi, and their conflict is much deeper than the typical hero-villain dynamic. Shang-Chi's emotional journey is largely defined by his need to reject his father's violent path, but also his struggle to accept his father's humanity. By the end of here's a detailed review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Overview released in 2021 as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings introduces a fresh superhero with a unique blend of martial arts, mythology, and emotional storytelling. Directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, the film stars Simu Liu as Shang-Chi, alongside Awkwafina, Tony Leung, Michelle Yeoh, and Maynard Zhang. Plot summary, no major spoilers. The story follows Shang-Chi, a young man who has left behind his past as a trained assassin under his father, Wenwu, Tony Leung, the powerful leader of the Ten Rings organization. Living a quiet life in San Francisco as a valet driver, he is suddenly pulled back into the world he tried to escape when mysterious assassins attack him. This forces him to confront his father, who possesses the powerful 10 rings, and uncover secrets about his family's past, his mother's mystical homeland, and a looming supernatural threat. What makes it stand out? 1. Strong character development. Shang-Chi is not your typical Marvel hero. Unlike characters who gain their powers from accidents, Spider-Man, Hulk, or technology, Iron Man, he is already a skilled martial artist. His journey isn't about gaining power, but about accepting his identity, dealing with trauma, and understanding his heritage. Simu Liu brings charm and relatability to the role, making Shang-Chi a grounded and compelling protagonist. Wenwu, played by Tony Leung, is one of the MCU's most nuanced villains. Unlike many one-dimensional antagonists, Wenwu is a tragic figure driven by love and grief, making his actions deeply personal and emotional. His relationship with Shang-Chi adds a layer of complexity to the story. 2. Incredible action sequences. The martial arts choreography in Shang-Chi is among the best in any Marvel movie. The fight scenes are heavily influenced by classic Hong Kong action films with smooth, fluid movements rather than the usual quick-cut Hollywood style. Some standout action sequences include the bus fight, a thrilling, well-choreographed fight inside a moving bus where Shang-Chi first showcases his abilities. The Fight Club, a dynamic battle in a secret underground fighting ring. The Skyscraper Battle, a breathtaking sequence on scaffolding outside a high-rise building. Each fight scene tells a story rather than just being action for the sake of action. 3. Stunning visuals and mythology. The film beautifully incorporates Chinese culture and mythology. The second half takes us to Ta Lo, a mystical village filled with magical creatures inspired by Chinese folklore, like the lion-like Qilin and the adorable faceless creature Morris. The cinematography, colors, and CGI create a visually stunning experience, especially in the final battle. 4. Humor and supporting cast. Awkwafina plays Katie, Shang-Chi's best friend, providing comic relief without being overbearing. Her chemistry with Simu Liu adds to the film's fun and lighthearted moments. Meng Zhang as Xiling, Shang-Chi's sister, is a strong and well-developed character who plays a crucial role in the story. Ben Kingsley returns as Trevor Slattery from Iron Man 3, bringing unexpected humor and tying up loose ends regarding the Mandarin controversy from earlier MCU films. 5. Emotional core. At its heart, Shang-Chi is a family drama. The film explores themes of grief, loss, and the struggle between duty and pursuit. Unlike some Marvel movies that prioritize spectacle over emotion, this film balances both. The father-son dynamic between Shang-Chi and Wenwu is powerful, making the final confrontation deeply emotional. What could have been better? The final battle, while visually spectacular, the climactic fight leans a bit too much on CGI and giant monsters, losing some of the intimacy of earlier fights. Xialing's arc feels rushed. Xialing is a fascinating character, but her development isn't fully explored. However, the post-credits scene hints at her future role in the MCU. Some Marvel tropes. While Shang-Chi feels fresh in many ways, it still has some Marvel formulaic elements, like the predictable origin story structure. Conclusion: is it worth watching? Absolutely. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of the best origin movies in the MCU. It offers top-tier action, emotional storytelling, and a unique cultural perspective. Whether you're a Marvel fan or a martial arts movie lover, it's an exciting and meaningful film that expands the MCU in a refreshing way. Would you like more insights like Easter eggs or future MCU connections? Final thoughts. Why Shang-Chi stands out in the MCU among Marvel's Phase 4 films. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is one of the most well-received. It balanced grounded action with mythology, emotional storytelling, and cultural significance. Unlike other origin stories, Shang-Chi's journey feels personal, making him a relatable hero. The film successfully introduces new mythology to the MCU, expanding its world building. Tony Leung's Wenwu remains one of the best Marvel villains, elevating the movie beyond just superhero action. Final rating: 4.55. Action. Some of the best fight scenes in MCU history. Story: great. Emotional depth. But some predictable moments. Visuals: stunning mix of practical and CGI effects. Villain: Wenwu is one of Marvel's most complex villains. Impact: a landmark movie for representation in Hollywood. Would you like me to expand on any particular aspect, such as a detailed breakdown of a fight scene or theories about the sequel? Positive reception of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings received overwhelmingly positive reviews from critics, audiences, and industry professionals. It was praised for its action, storytelling, representation, and cultural significance. Let's take a deep dive into why this movie was such a big success. 1. Critical acclaim and reviews. A. Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic scores. Rotten Tomatoes, 91%. Certified, fresh from critics, with a 98% audience score. Metacritic, 71/100 from critics, but an impressive 8/110 from audiences. Critics praised the film's balance of martial arts, mythology, and emotional storytelling. B. What critics loved about the movie. The Hollywood Reporter: a stunning blend of classic martial arts cinema and Marvel's signature spectacle, elevated by Tony Leung's masterful performance. Ediane. Shang-Chi brings a breath of fresh air to the MCU with its groundbreaking fight choreography and heartfelt story. Empire magazine: a dazzling, action-packed adventure that introduces a new kind of hero to the Marvel Universe. See audience love and word of mouth. The film resonated deeply with audiences worldwide, especially those who had long-awaited Asian representation in mainstream superhero films. Many praised Simu Liu's charisma and relatability, the emotional father-son dynamic with Tony Leung's Wenwu, the stunning fight scenes which were compared to classic kung fu movies, the balance of humor and heart, making it a well-rounded blockbuster. 2. Box office success and financial performance. A record-breaking opening weekend, despite being released during the pandemic. Shang-Chi shattered expectations at the box office. Domestic, U.S., opening, $75. Domestic, U.S., opening, $75. $4 million, the biggest Labor Day opening ever. Global box office, over $432 million worldwide, making it one of the highest-grossing films of 2021. BY it was a box office hit. Strong word of mouth. Audiences loved it, leading to repeat viewings. First Asian-led MCU movie, a historic moment that drew a massive audience. Unique action sequences. Unlike previous Marvel films, Shang-Chi had real martial arts influence, attracting both MCU fans and martial arts cinema enthusiasts. Post-pandemic demand. Audiences were eager for a high-quality theatrical experience. 3. Why fans love Shang-Chi. The best action in the MCU. Many fans believe Shang-Chi has the best hand-to-hand combat in Marvel history. The choreography was inspired by legendary Hong Kong action films, giving it a unique feel compared to other superhero movies. Top fight scenes loved by fans. 1. Bus fight scene. A thrilling Jackie Chan-style brawl in a moving bus. 2. Building scaffold fight, a gravity-defying rooftop battle with a mix of wire fu and brutal strikes. 3. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu. A deeply emotional and visually spectacular father-son duel. B. Tony Leung's performance. A legendary villain. Fans and critics alike hailed Tony Leung's performance as one of the best villains in MCU history. Unlike typical Marvel villains, Wenwu was complex, a villain who wasn't purely evil but driven by love and grief. Charismatic, every scene he was in was electrifying. Tragic, his death was one of the most emotional moments in the movie. See a new type of Marvel hero, Shang-Chi's relatability. Unlike Iron Man, who's a billionaire, or Thor, a god, Shang-Chi is a regular guy with an extraordinary past. Fans love that. He was raised as an assassin but chose his own path. He had real struggles with family, identity, and self-worth. He didn't become powerful overnight. He earned his abilities. The cultural representation meant a lot to people from many Asian audiences. Shang-Chi was more than just a superhero film. It was a moment of pride. Fans praised the movie for respecting Chinese culture and mythology and the legend of the Ten Rings, a deep dive into all Asian main cast, cultural impact, and future in the MCU. When Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings was released in 2021, it wasn't just another Marvel film. It was a revolutionary milestone in superhero cinema. With a stunning mix of action, heart, mythology, and representation, it became one of the most beloved and highest-grossing films of its time. In this in-depth analysis, we will explore how Shang-Chi changed the MCU and Hollywood, the deep cultural impact of the film, its groundbreaking action sequences, the mysterious future of Shang-Chi in the MCU, fan theories, and predictions for the sequel. 1. How Shang-Chi redefined superhero movies. Before Shang-Chi, Marvel movies often followed a familiar formula. A hero gains powers, accidentally or through inheritance, fights a villain, and learns a lesson. But Shang-Chi took a different approach, introducing a protagonist with earned abilities, deep emotional conflicts, and a rich cultural background. A unique hero's journey. Shang-Chi, played by Simu Liu, is not a traditional superhero. Unlike Thor or Iron Man, he wasn't gifted with powers or wealth. Instead, he trained since childhood in deadly martial arts, was emotionally scarred by his father's expectations, chose his own path, rejecting his father's criminal empire. This made him more relatable than many other MCU heroes. Instead of just fighting a villain, he was battling his past, his trauma, and his own identity. Be a villain, unlike any other. Wenwu, Tony Leung. Wenwu, also known as the Mandarin, is one of the most complex and tragic villains in Marvel history. Unlike typical villains who seek power for the sake of it, Wenwu genuinely loves his family but doesn't know how to express it, is blinded by grief, believing he can bring his wife back, is both cruel and caring, making him an unpredictable and layered antagonist. Tony Leung's performance elevated Wenwu beyond a standard villain. He became a tragic father figure, one of Marvel's most emotional and powerful characters. See the best fight scenes in the MCU. Shang-Chi was a game-changer for action choreography, inspired by classic Hong Kong cinema. Top 3 fight scenes that stood out. 1. The bus fight, a fast-paced brawl, inspired by Jackie Chan's fight choreography, mixing humor and high-stakes action. 2. The scaffold battle, a visually stunning fight that combined acrobatics, martial arts, and environmental hazards. 3. Shang-Chi vs. Wenwu, a breathtaking father-son duel that blended magic, emotion, and traditional martial arts. Each fight told a story, showing Shang-Chi's growth and struggle with his past. 2. The cultural impact of Shang-Chi, a breakthrough for Asian representation in Hollywood. Before Shang-Chi, Asian representation in Hollywood was limited to side characters or stereotypes. This film shattered that trend by featuring an all-Asian main cast in a blockbuster superhero film, incorporating Mandarin dialogue naturally instead of forcing only English, celebrating Asian mythology, history, and martial arts authentically. The success of Shang-Chi proved that diverse stories could dominate the box office. B. How Shang-Chi reshaped the MCU's future. Because of Shang-Chi's massive success, Marvel greenlit a sequel immediately. Expanded Asian-led stories, e.g., Eternals. Doctor Strange 2 hired more Asian directors and writers, ensuring better cultural representation. For many Asian audiences, seeing a hero who looked like them and spoke their language was deeply meaningful. 3.